Hello, I'm going to show you how to make another catapult. I'm going to start off with 4 popsicle sticks, and I want to try and arrange them into a square base. You might try a rectangle base, but I'm going to try for a square base. Now the first thing I'm going to do is tape all of the corners down. I want to make sure that the adhesive part of my tape is making contact with both sticks in the corners. Now I'm going to fold it over nice and tight, and I'll go back again with some more tape. So I'm really making contact over both sticks. You want to smooth them both, make sure they're good and tight. Okay, so I've done those 2 corners. And I'm going to go back in. I'm going to put a little more tape over. So see those parts that are exposed? I'm going to pull it tight and smooth it down. You don't want your base to be wiggly. You want it to be nice and solid. Now, if you're having trouble making it solid and it's wiggly, maybe you could try gluing it. Maybe you could try gluing or taping it to some cardboard. Anything you can think of. You don't have to do it exactly the way that I'm doing it, but you want to try and make a good square or a good rectangle for your base. Okay, now I'm going to make the sides. So I'm going to start off with 4 sticks. And I'm going to make this kind of like a triangle. And be very careful. Do this flat on the table, but I'm going to hold it up so you can see. Sometimes I use scissors to help with my tape. Okay. Now I'm going to try and wrap this around the other side because I don't want it to be wiggly. It's kind of like a big triangle with a smaller triangle upside down on top of it. So that's pretty good, but it's a little wiggly, so I'm going to tape it just a little bit more. Try and make sure it's not wiggly at all. All right, there we go. It's looking pretty good. Now this part's important. I'm going to make a second one, but I need it to be identical to the first. So I'm going to lay my 2 sticks down on top of my original, and then I'm going to tape it like that. I really need them to be exactly the same. You don't want them to be crooked or your fulcrum will be crooked. And then the trajectory of your projectile is not going to be where you want. Okay, so don't worry. I had to do this several times before I got it right. So now I know the 2 of them are matched up, and I'm going to tape this one just like I did the first. Make sure you make good contact with your tape with both of the sticks. You pull it nice and tight and smooth it down. Again, glue could work, string or rubber bands could work. Use whatever you can find around at home. Now, when I'm going to line these up on my base, I need to make sure that they both are matching, that they're symmetrical. I don't want to flip one of them around so that they're not exactly the same. I want them to be the same. So now the tough part comes. I have to try and attach my sides to my base. I'm going to tape down both legs before I lift this up. All right, then I'm going to smooth that down. And that's still going to be kind of wiggly. I need to do a little bit more taping to keep that from being too wiggly. So I'm going to put some tape on the other side and I'm going to pull it nice and tight. It's a good start, but it's still a little bit wiggly. So now I'm going to take this 3rd popsicle stick and I'm actually going to tape both the legs of the side and the base together. Hopefully this is going to hold things a little bit stronger. So making sure I make good contact between the legs of my side and my base. So I'm reinforcing my sides right now. So I just double checked again to make sure that both sides are equal, and I put a stick in the middle. That stick's just temporary, but that's to make sure that my fulcrum is going to be nice and straight. I don't want a crooked fulcrum. I want it to be nice and straight, so I'm going to put that stick there just as my pretend fulcrum to hold everything while I tape it down. I'm going to tape both of those legs to the base before I lift it up and start taping underneath. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to tape on the underside just like that and just like that. So see, that's wiggly. I don't want it to be wiggly like that. So I'm going to add some more tape first, just like I showed you. I'm going to put it on, I'm going to pull it nice and tight, smooth it down. That'll help. It'll still be a little bit wiggly though. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in with another stick and I'm going to tape that stick so that it's making contact with both the legs of my sides and with my base. So that stick is like the go-between that's going to reinforce the sides and the base to hold nice and tight to one another. So there we go. I'm taping that down. I want to make sure I get the other side in. That's looking pretty good. And my fulcrum is standing up nice and straight. So this is almost as secure as I want. But what I want to do is I want to reinforce it because right now it could lean in towards itself. I don't want that. So I've got this other stick right here. And I'm just going to attach it to the bottom of the two sides. The idea is this stick is nice and rigid. So if I can adhere it to the two sides, it'll force them to stay at that same distance apart. So that's what I want to do. Just reinforcing. You might decide to reinforce in a different place. Try it out. If it doesn't work, you can always take it off. Try again. Okay. That's looking pretty good. It's not leaning in towards itself anymore. So now I'm going to make a paper tube just like we've seen before. I'm going to roll, 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 and then I'm going to release and let it get a little bit bigger than my pencil, which I'm going to use for a fulcrum. So now I'm going to tape that down on the two sides and I'm going to cut it in half. So now I have two paper rolls. Now I'm going to take, this was a fork, and I turned it into like a spoon with a paper basket last week. I'm going to tape that onto my fulcrum, and I'm not going to tape it at the bottom of the spoon. I'm going to tape it up towards the top of the spoon, or I guess I should say the fork. Because remember, we were learning about levers last time. I want about 1/3 to be where I'm going to put the stuff that I'm going to throw, and another 2/3, I want that to be the rest of the throwing arm. So now I'm going to tape this down in my diagonal, like an X shape. Smooth it down, straighten it out if I have to. Now these tubes, their whole point is to hold the fulcrum in place. If I taped the fulcrum right to the sides, it wouldn't rotate. So I want those paper tubes to be able to hold it in place so the fulcrum can move freely, can rotate freely. Now I'm just going to put this tape on, and I'm being a little bit gentle here, and then I'm going to pinch around the sides so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to put it on, and then I'm going to pinch around the sides. I just want to hold those paper tubes so they don't go anywhere. Okay, so I've got 3 more sticks now, and I'm going to give something a try. If I don't like it, I'll take it apart or I'll try something new, but that's what engineers do. You give it a try, see how you like it, and I guarantee you, nothing is always going to work perfectly the first try. So I'm putting together this big long, it's not really a throwing arm, it's going to be an attachment to the base because I want some place to be able to attach my rubber bands to. Okay, there we go. I've put that together. I'm going to tape it down. Now this part is closer to the long part of my throwing arm, the 2/3 part of my throwing arm. So it's going to be farther away from the basket that holds my projectile. And I'm going to give this a try and see how I like it. And if I don't like it, I'll attach a second base, I should say extension to my base on the opposite side and see how that works. So here we go. I'm going to do my trusty slip knot again. And I'm going to try attaching it to my throwing arm. Now don't get discouraged if the first time you attach it doesn't work the way you want. Okay, I'm going to use this clothespin as an anchor, and now I'm going to actually just tape it right down to my table. Your grown-ups might not want you to tape yours down to the table, so you should ask first, and you could always try using something like a cardboard box or something else that your grown-ups wouldn't mind. So I'm just going to make some adjustments, and this is shooting pretty well. I'm not unhappy with it. I'm going to adjust where the rubber band is. I'm going to adjust how I have it attached to my throwing arm. I'm going to try several different things and see which one I like better, because that's what engineers do. We call it trial and error. Try one thing and say, oh, this is okay. Let me try something and see if I can get it better. Or maybe try something and say, oh, that was terrible. Let me try something else. I think I can do much better than that. So I'm trying a couple different ways of attaching my rubber band to my throwing arm. Now I liked increasing the tension, making the rubber band tighter, because it actually launched my cotton ball faster. Now I'm trying a different way of wrapping my rubber band around my throwing arm. I'm going to give this a try. It's not bad. It's okay. I'm not unhappy with it, but I still want to make some adjustments. I feel like I can do better. That was definitely a little bit better. But let's see if I can attach the rubber band a different way. Maybe that'll get a little bit better result. Okay, let's try. Now I like having the rubber band wrapped around the fulcrum, but I don't like that it's getting in the way of the throwing arm. Yeah, that's not working the way I want, but that's okay. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to try something new. Engineers don't say this doesn't work. They say this doesn't work yet. And that didn't work yet, but I'm not giving up. Let's see, what else can I try? Give it one more test. Yeah. I think I have a new idea. I'm going to make another extension just like the first one. Not even going to bother to take the first extension off. I'm just going to make another extension nice and quick, because I made another one before. I can make a second one. So I just put these together. I'm going to tape that one together as well. Okay, here is my extension. I'm going to tape it down just like I did the first. Okay, tape can be tricky sometimes. There we go. Get that on there. Fold it under. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. There we go. Hopefully you can see that better. Just making sure I have it nice and secure. And again, I'm going to end up taping it down to my table just because. Now, if you have nothing you can tape to, there's nothing you could tape it down to, you could weight it down. Get some books, weight it down with some books, or weight it down with your foot. Or maybe if you have a brother or sister, have them weight it down with their foot. So if you can't adhese it down, use tape with adhesive, right? Then use some weight. So see what's happening? I haven't taped it down yet and it's starting to buckle. We don't want that to happen. That rubber band, that's too much tension for my extension to hold. So I'm going to tape it down, which again, maybe you tape it to some cardboard, or maybe you weight it down with some heavy stuff like books or a foot. So I'm taping both of them down so it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to try that again. I'm going to stretch my rubber band. And if you don't have a clothespin, you could probably find something else that you could use, even if you can't find a clip. Just something to keep your rubber band from sliding backwards, even if you just wrap a whole bunch of tape around the end and then put the rubber band on. All right, I'm going to give this a try now. Now, there's some things I like about this and some things I don't. I like having the elastic band behind the throwing arm. So I like it being pointed in the same direction as the basket that holds my projectile. But check it out from the front. It's rotating too far forward. So my trajectory is not as high up as I want. I want it to arch. But if I stop my throwing arm from rotating all the way back, I bet I can get that super high arch that I want. So right now, because of the tension, my throwing arm is holding the stick in place. So I'm just going to tape it down to the sides. And then that should stop my throwing arm from rotating all of the way. So I'm going to smooth that down because I want to make sure this is good and steady. And remember, when you're testing yours out, I tested this several times and didn't get a result that I liked, but I didn't give up. I just kept making changes. And even if you build something and you've made a bunch of changes and it's not working the way you want, take it apart, make something new. Now you can see from the side, that's a much better angle. I'm going to release my projectile and it's going to be flying in an upward motion. I want it to fly up and into an arc. Don't want it to be aimed down towards the ground. That would be a bummer. Now that's all right. I'm going to give it one more test just to make sure. But I bet I could do better. So I want to stop the rotation of my throwing arm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take several sticks. I'm going to take 6 of them. And I'm just going to stack them all together. And I'm going to tape that stack together. So I'm going to do that nice and quick. Put some tape on there. Tape, tape, tape. So I've got one side down. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Let's get the other side taped down. Okay, there we go. Now look at how thick that is. I'm going to put that on top of that other stick that I put there just to stop that throwing arm at a slightly different angle. I still want it to be shooting a little bit more upwards. Remember, I'm going for a nice big arc. Don't want it to go at the ground. I want it to arc up. So I'm going to tape this down. And because it's much taller now, I've added 6 more sticks. I'm going to be stopping that throwing arm from rotating just a little bit sooner. You might try more than 6 sticks. You might try less than 6 sticks. And remember, if you don't have sticks, maybe you're using cardboard. Maybe you're using chopsticks. Maybe you're using dried up old markers or pencils that you don't really use anymore. If you don't have popsicle sticks, get creative. You just need something that's stiff and rigid, meaning something that's not going to bend. Okay, let's give it another try. Now I'm liking how that shoots. Let's give it one more try. Cool.